The galaxy was wide, full of countless stars, but in one quiet corner, something new began to stir. It started with a signal, faint at first, then louder as it traveled across the void. Alien listening stations picked it up. At first they thought it was only noise, a broken code from some drifting satellite. But then the sound shaped itself into a steady pulse. It was not noise. It was a warning. Across the alien networks, fleets and leaders grew curious. The message did not belong to any of the known empires. It was not from the grand warlike species that had ruled the stars for ages. It came from a small world many had ignored. That world was Earth. That signal was human. The aliens laughed. For centuries, humans had been called newcomers, late children of the stars. They were clever, yes. They were bold, yes. But no one believed they had power. They had built colonies, they had fought small wars, but nothing compared to the great fleets of the older races. To most of the galaxy, humanity was only noise in the background of history. But this signal was different. It carried weight. It carried rhythm, like the heartbeat of a giant. In deep space, far from any world, something massive was moving. It glowed faintly against the darkness, hidden behind veils of dust and shadow. Observers caught glimpses of its outline. Some said it was the size of a city. Others claimed it stretched like a continent. They whispered a name that spread fast through the networks. The Thunder-Soul Battleship. The name was not human. Aliens had given it. No human ever spoke of it, no human boasted of it. The silence of humanity made it worse. The galaxy expected fear. The galaxy expected noise. But the humans gave nothing. They did not explain. They did not warn. They let the rumors grow. Alien fleets gathered in secret meetings. Commanders stood over maps of stars, pointing at the routes this ship might take.
Some called it a bluff.
Others said it was a ghost. But a few, the ones who had studied human history, stayed quiet. They remembered how humans fought when pushed too far. They remembered how often humanity survived when survival seemed impossible. The Thunder-Soul moved closer. Its engines burned with a strange blue light, brighter than anything seen before. Whole stations recorded the glow as it passed. The data showed energy levels no one could understand. Weapons scientists tried to measure its power, but their tools failed. The numbers climbed higher and higher until the machines shut down. The aliens sent scouts. Small ships, fast and clever, crept near the great shadow. None returned. No wreckage, no signal, no cry for help. Only silence. The fleets grew nervous. The laughter stopped. Third-person voices followed the ship like whispers. It is coming. Humanity is coming. Some alien leaders dismissed it. They said humans were reckless, that they had built some oversized machine to frighten others. They mocked the idea of fear, but deep inside many began to feel it. The humans had built something no one understood. The humans had built something they had not shared with the galaxy. And now they were moving it straight into the heart of war. The story spread faster than light. On distant planets, children heard the tale of the Thunder-Soul and asked if it was real. Merchants traded false pictures of it, showing it as a dragon of steel or a demon of fire. But in space, the truth was worse than legend. The ship was real. The ship was alive with power, and the humans had not yet spoken. The silence was the sharpest weapon. Aliens begged for communication. They sent messages, calls, warnings, even threats, but no human voice answered. The Thunder-Soul did not speak. It only moved. Every hour brought it closer to the alien fleets that had declared war on humanity. Those fleets had once felt strong. They had believed humans would kneel, that Earth would fall, that colonies would burn. They had struck first, taking small outposts, killing human settlers, leaving wreckage drifting in the void. But now, something far greater moved to answer them. On a cold bridge of one alien flagship, a commander looked out at the stars. He had fought many wars. He had won many battles. But tonight his hands trembled. He saw the glow in the distance, faint but growing. His crew whispered the name they had once laughed at. He whispered it too, the Thunder-Soul. And in the stillness of space, the fleet realized something terrible. Humanity was not silent because it was afraid. Humanity was silent because it was ready. The first chapter of this story was not written with guns or words. It was written with silence, with the shadow of a ship moving across the stars. A shadow so large that no fleet could hide from it, no world could ignore it. The aliens had started a war they thought would be easy. They thought humanity was weak. But as the Thunder-Soul drew closer, as the signal pulsed like a steady heart, the galaxy felt the truth sink in. Crossing humanity was not only dangerous, It was madness. Alien confidence. The fleets of the alien alliance spread across the stars like a net of fire. Their ships were sharp and built for war, covered in guns and glowing shields. Each one carried banners of pride, colors of empires that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had fought rivals, crushed rebels, and burned planets. To them, humanity was nothing more than another small problem to erase. Inside their councils, alien leaders spoke with loud voices. The reports of the Thunder-Soul Battleship were treated like a joke. A human ghost ship, some said. An oversized machine made to frighten children. Their laughter echoed in chambers of stone and steel. They called humans dreamers, builders of fragile machines, wanderers without power. They pointed at Earth on their maps, a small blue world lost in a corner of space. This world cannot scare us, they said. This species cannot stand against us. Even the commanders who felt uneasy dared not show it. To doubt the alliance was to look weak, and weakness was not forgiven. They nodded, they agreed, they repeated the same words. Humanity is not a threat. But behind those words, fear began to grow like a shadow. The fleets tested their weapons. They gathered near the borders of human space, their ships filling the darkness. Thousands of engines lit the void, burning bright trails across the black. The sight was terrifying to anyone who watched from afar. But still, the Thunder-Soul did not move faster, nor did it slow. It came on, silent and glowing, like a storm cloud drifting closer to a battlefield. Alien admirals mocked the humans in open broadcasts. They sent messages across the stars telling the humans to surrender before it was too late. They threatened Earth colonies and stations. The galaxy watched these messages and still no human replied. That silence, once called weakness, now felt heavy. It was the kind of silence that waits before thunder strikes. Some younger alien soldiers asked questions. Why do the humans not answer? Why do they not beg for peace? Their commanders scolded them. Because humans have no answers. Because humans are nothing. Because soon they will be dust. And yet those young soldiers looked into the dark and saw the glow of the Thunder-Soul. They saw how the human ship did not hide. It did not run. It only moved closer with steady purpose. And deep inside, those soldiers felt something their leaders could not admit. They felt dread. On one alien world, markets were filled with false paintings of the Thunder-Soul. Merchants sold them as charms, some to mock it, some to protect against it. In taverns and halls, stories spread of its weapons. Some said it carried suns inside its heart. Others said its guns could shatter planets. None knew the truth, but the stories grew wilder each day. Alien spies tried to steal the design of the Thunder-Soul. They searched human colonies, hacked into networks, bribed traders. But every file ended in fire. Every spy vanished. The humans had hidden this ship so well that even the greatest thieves in the galaxy could find nothing. That mystery became a weapon all its own. Inside the fleets, confidence cracked, though commanders spoke louder than ever. They promised easy victory. They promised quick battles. They promised glory for their empires. And yet, when they stood alone, when the lights dimmed and the stars shone outside their windows, many wondered the same thing. What if we are wrong? One admiral, old and scarred from 100 wars, spoke quietly to his officers. Do not underestimate the humans, he warned. They are not like the others. They do not build what they cannot use. His words spread among his crew, whispered from mouth to mouth. Soon, even the lowest soldiers began to wonder if their leader's laughter was only a mask for fear. Still, the fleets pressed forward. Thousands of ships took position across the stars. Their guns aimed at the path of the Thunder-Soul. They thought numbers would crush fear. They thought firepower would erase doubt. The Thunder-Soul glowed brighter. Sensors tried to measure the energy inside it, but every reading was wrong. Power levels rose too high. Data streams broke into chaos. Machines overheated and shut down, and still the humans said nothing. In that silence, the alien fleets grew restless. The commanders shouted louder. The soldiers trained harder. But unease crept into their hearts like a cold wind. One young alien pilot looked at the blue glow and whispered to himself, "This is not weakness. This is waiting." And for the first time, he felt the truth of what many had begun to fear. Humanity was not coming with words. Humanity was not coming to bargain. Humanity was coming with something far greater. The fleets did not yet know it, but the moment they faced the Thunder-Soul, the war they thought would bring them glory would instead bring them shame. And in the deep dark of space, while alien leaders still mocked and boasted, the galaxy itself held its breath. Because when humanity moved in silence, history always changed. Humanity's warning, the fleets waited like wolves circling prey. Thousands of alien ships filled the dark, their weapons hot and ready. Their commanders believed they were safe in numbers. Against so many warships, one human vessel could never stand. That was what they told themselves again and again, but the Thunder-Soul kept coming. No fear, no change of course. Its glow stretched across the black like a rising storm. The closer it came, the more the fleets felt its presence, not just through sensors, but through silence. The silence pressed on them like weight, thick and heavy. Then for the first time, the ship spoke. It was not a shout. It was not even a voice in the old alien languages. It was a message, clear and sharp, carried on every channel, every frequency, every band of light and sound. Every fleet, every planet, every station heard the same words at the same moment. Do not test humanity. 3 words. That was all. The message was repeated once, then vanished. The Thunder-Soul did not explain. It did not threaten. It did not argue. Just those words, steady and calm like stone carved into the dark. The fleets burst into noise. Commanders shouted at their crews to ignore it. Admirals laughed in broadcasts, calling it desperation. Soldiers repeated the old lines that humans were weak, that humans could not stand against them. But beneath the shouting, fear took root. Those 3 words echoed again and again in the minds of those who heard them. Simple, direct, final. Do not test humanity. What kind of people speak like that when surrounded by thousands of enemies? What kind of ship dares to send only 3 words before a storm? Inside one alien command chamber, a council debated. It is a bluff, one said. They want us to hesitate. Another pounded the table. They are afraid. They are begging. But an older voice cut through the noise. No, he said. They are warning us. And if they warn, it means they are ready. Across the stars, civilians heard the message too. On alien worlds, it played on repeat. In taverns, in markets, in homes, people asked themselves what would happen next. Some mocked it, calling it human arrogance. Others whispered that no species should ever speak so calmly in the face of death. The Thunder-Soul glowed brighter still. Its hull shimmered with lines of blue fire, running like veins across its surface. Alien sensors strained to measure it, but the energy moved in patterns no one understood. Engineers stared at the readings, their eyes wide with disbelief. This is not possible, one muttered. This ship should not exist, but it did. The alien fleets tried to test it. Small squadrons of fighters flew close, weapons armed. They darted around the great ship, scanning, probing, firing warning shots. Not a single human weapon replied. The Thunder-Soul stayed silent, steady, patient, and then, without a sound, the fighters vanished. Not destroyed, not burned, vanished. Their signals disappeared. Their engines cut off. Their crews were never seen again. The fleets fell into silence. They had sent their best scouts. They had gained nothing. More messages came from alien leaders broadcast across the galaxy. They mocked humanity. They promised war. They promised that Earth would burn. The galaxy watched as those leaders smiled with sharp teeth and cruel eyes. But even as they smiled, their hands shook. The Thunder-Soul kept moving, and nothing could stop it. On human colonies, people listened too. They did not hear fear in those 3 words. They heard strength. They heard the voice of a people who had been ignored, mocked, and attacked, but who had prepared in silence. The humans did not answer the threats. They did not send more messages. They left the galaxy to argue among itself. The only reply they gave was movement, closer and closer until the glow of the Thunder-Soul filled the sky of enemy fleets. Some alien soldiers could not sleep. They sat awake in their bunks, staring at the walls, hearing those words in their heads. Do not test humanity. It was not a request. It was not a plea. It was a fact. One young officer spoke to his commander. What if they mean it, he asked. The commander scolded him. Do not speak of fear. The humans cannot stand against us. But the young officer saw the commander's eyes. They betrayed doubt. The fleets fired more warnings into the dark. Beams of light flashed across the void, stopping just short of the human ship. Still, the Thunder-Soul did not fire back. It did not even change its path. That silence was worse than battle. At least in battle, the enemy reacts. At least in battle, there is sound and fury. But this silence, this waiting, this calm voice of humans who had spoken only once, it made the fleets uneasy. The galaxy began to whisper. If humanity had built such a ship in secret, what else had they built? If they could silence fleets with 3 words, what would they do when they finally struck? No one knew. But every alien soldier, every leader, every watcher of stars felt the same cold truth rising. The humans had given their warning. And when humans warned, history showed they always meant it. The Thunder-Soul drifted closer, glowing like a rising storm. Its silence was no longer weakness. Its silence was promise. And the galaxy realized too late that the war they thought would be easy was about to become something they could not control. The first strike. The fleets spread wide, their ships filling the black sky like a swarm of fireflies. Thousands of glowing hulls, thousands of burning engines, all pointed toward a single target. The Thunder-Soul Battleship stood alone against them, its vast body glowing with lines of blue energy. No other human ships came. No fleets rose to defend it. No colonies sent backup. Only one ship drifted in the dark, surrounded by an army that believed itself invincible. Alien admirals shouted orders. Squadrons of fighters launched forward. Heavy cruisers rolled into formation. Capital ships charged their great weapons. Their voices were loud, proud, and full of fury. But even as the fleets prepared for war, something quiet grew in their hearts. For all their numbers, for all their firepower, they were the ones who felt surrounded. The glow of the Thunder-Soul did not flicker. Its silence did not break. It moved with the calm of something that already knew the outcome. The first shot came not from the Thunder-Soul, but from the aliens. A spear of plasma cut through the void, fired by a heavy destroyer. It struck the hull of the human ship, yet no explosion followed. The energy vanished on contact, swallowed by the glowing lines across the hull. The Thunder-Soul remained untouched. Then the fleets opened fire all at once. Torrents of plasma, missiles, and beams of light filled the dark. For a moment, space itself seemed to burn. A storm of weapons crashed against the Thunder-Soul. The glow around its body grew brighter, brighter still, until it looked as if the ship were made of living fire. And then, silence. The weapons faded. The storm ended. The Thunder-Soul still floated there unharmed. On alien bridges, crews gasped. Some shouted. Some stared in disbelief. Their strongest weapons had done nothing. The Thunder-Soul answered. Its hull lit with a pulse of energy, blue and silver, rolling across its vast frame like lightning across clouds. For a heartbeat, all of space seemed to pause. And then, from the heart of the ship, a beam of light erupted. It was not like alien weapons, narrow and sharp. This light was wide, roaring like a river of fire unleashed into the stars. It struck the nearest alien capital ship, a fortress of steel and guns. In an instant, the fortress was gone. Not broken, not burned, gone. Vaporized in silence, leaving only dust and sparks where it once stood. Shock froze the fleets. Crews stared at empty space where their strongest ship had been. The Thunder-Soul did not move fast. It did not fire wildly. It waited, then released another beam. Another alien cruiser vanished. Then another. The fleets broke into chaos. Admirals screamed orders. Fighters rushed forward. Smaller ships scattered, trying to find safety where none existed. One alien commander shouted, "It cannot fire forever. Overwhelm it!" His voice carried hope, but his eyes showed fear. The Thunder-Soul fired again. A destroyer vanished. Sensors tried to measure the weapon, but failed. The energy was too great, too strange. Machines sparked. Readings turned to noise. Engineers gave up. The only proof of its power was the silence that followed each shot, and the wreckage, or lack of wreckage, it left behind. Alien soldiers who once mocked humanity now trembled. Their hands shook on their weapons. Their voices cracked as they called to one another. For every shot the Thunder-Soul fired, another part of their fleet simply ceased to exist. In the chaos, one young officer whispered the truth no one wanted to admit. We cannot win. The Thunder-Soul did not chase. It did not rush. It stood in the center of fire, calm and unmoved, striking only when it chose. Each strike was a lesson. Each strike was a warning fulfilled. The 3 words returned to every mind. Do not test humanity. Now the fleets understood. They had tested humanity, and this was the answer. Panic spread. Ships broke formation. Some turned to flee. Admirals shouted at them to stay, but fear was stronger than orders. Entire squadrons vanished into hyperspace, leaving their allies behind. The galaxy had never seen humans as powerful. They had seen them as clever, as survivors, as fighters who never gave up. But now they saw something new. They saw humans as untouchable, as a force no empire could measure. The Thunder-Soul glowed brighter still, but it did not destroy them all. It could have. Every soldier, every commander knew it could. But it did not. It fired once, then again, then stopped. The fleets froze. The silence was heavier than before. Why did the humans not finish the war? Why did they not burn every ship, every world that had struck them? The question spread faster than fear. On alien bridges, hearts pounded as they waited for the next strike. But none came. The Thunder-Soul floated there, glowing, patient, watching. It had shown its power. It had proven its warning. It had spoken without words. Crossing humanity was not only dangerous, it was fatal. And in that moment, the fleets knew the truth. Humanity had fired not to destroy, but to remind the galaxy of something it had forgotten. The humans could fight any war. The humans could win any war. But they would not always need to. Sometimes one strike was enough. The lesson: the stars were quiet again. Where once thousands of alien ships had filled the sky, only fragments drifted now. Not wreckage, only shadows, dust, and silence where mighty warships had once stood. The Thunder-Soul Battleship glowed alone, steady and unbroken, like a burning city floating in the dark. The alien fleets, proud and loud at the start, were now scattered. Some fled into hyperspace without orders. Others shut down their weapons, afraid to fire again. The admirals who had mocked humanity sat frozen in their chairs, their mouths dry, their hearts heavy. They had wanted war. They had promised victory. But after one strike, they no longer spoke of victory. They spoke only of survival. The Thunder-Soul did not chase them. It did not hunt them down. It did not fire again. The aliens waited for more destruction, but none came. The battleship only hovered in the silence, its hull glowing like veins of living light. It was a weapon beyond measure, yet it showed restraint. That restraint was worse than fire. Every commander asked the same question. Why did it stop? The answer was clear, though none wanted to speak it. Humanity was not trying to win a battle. Humanity was teaching a lesson. The message repeated itself across the galaxy, not through words, but through memory. Do not test humanity. On alien worlds, fear spread faster than light. Merchants, farmers, workers, soldiers, they all heard what had happened. They whispered the tale to their children, how one ship had silenced thousands, how one strike had ended arrogance. Some called it miracle, others called it nightmare, but all agreed on one truth. Humanity had changed the balance of power forever. Even those who had never fought humans now feared them. The older empires, proud of their long histories, saw their future shaken. They had always believed size and age gave them strength. But humanity, the young species they had dismissed, had built something greater than all their fleets. On human colonies, the story spread too. People lifted their heads with pride. They knew the cost of the war. They remembered the outposts burned, the settlers lost, the blood spilled. The Thunder-Soul was not born of pride. It was born of pain, and when it fired, it did not fire for glory. It fired for survival. The aliens did not see that at first. They thought humans fought for conquest. But the truth was colder. Humanity did not need conquest. Humanity only needed one lesson to be remembered, that no one could break them. The admirals who survived sent secret reports back to their governments. The words inside those reports were filled with fear. Their weapons cannot be measured, one wrote. Our fleets cannot match them, another admitted. If we continue, we face extinction, a third confessed. These reports spread in silence through alien halls of power. Leaders who once laughed at Earth now sat in silence, staring at maps of stars. They had believed humanity to be prey. But the prey had grown teeth sharper than anything they had ever seen. The Thunder-Soul turned slowly, its engines burning blue, and began to drift away. Not a retreat, not a surrender, only a statement. The humans had chosen not to destroy everything. That choice left a deeper wound than total war ever could. The aliens now lived with the knowledge that humanity could have ended them, but did not. That mercy cut sharper than death. On the bridge of one alien flagship, a young officer whispered to himself, "We thought we were the hunters, but we were the ones being judged." No one answered him. The room was silent. Every crew member staring at the empty space where their allies had once been. The galaxy now knew two truths. First, the Thunder-Soul Battleship existed and it could not be stopped. Second, humanity did not need to shout, did not need to conquer. It only needed to act once, and the galaxy would never forget. In the days that followed, empires rewrote their strategies. Commanders trained their soldiers with new caution. When maps were drawn, Earth was no longer a small blue dot at the edge of nowhere. It was circled, underlined, marked as a place never to be crossed. Children of alien worlds grew up hearing the same warning from their parents. Do not test the humans. That was the lesson. Not told with speeches, not written in treaties, but carved into memory with a single strike of light in the cold dark. And so the Thunder-Soul drifted back into shadow. Its glow faded into the distance. The humans did not follow with fleets or armies. They did not boast or sing of victory. They let silence speak for them as it always had. But across the stars, no one forgot. No one dared forget, for in the heart of every soldier, every leader, every empire, the same thought now lived. If this was only one ship, what else had humanity built in silence? And if one strike could bring the galaxy to its knees, what would happen if humanity ever decided to strike again?